iCloud or Google Drive, if that question is giving you a headache, this video is exactly what you need. So, in one corner, we've got Apple's iCloud, and in the other, the world's most popular cloud storage service, Google Drive. And yes, everybody knows these two, and many struggle to figure out which one's the best for them. We've been covering cloud storage for over a decade, and I'll say you're not alone in this which one do I pick dilemma. So, as always, grab a coffee and stick with me as I break down everything from security and privacy, features, productivity, speed, and of course, pricing. And by the end of the video, you'll definitely know which one's going to work best for you, or if you need both, or yeah, just one of them. So stay tuned. I'm going to begin this comparison by addressing the elephant in the room. If you're an Android user, you're going to want to use Google Drive or another cloud storage service. That's because Apple likes to keep its apps as close as humanly possible. You can't even download iCloud Drive from the Google Play Store. Instead, you can only access it through your browser app. It's frustrating, and I made a full video on Apple's closed network and the controversy surrounding it. But if you're using Apple products or even a Windows computer, then stick with me as both iCloud and Google Drive have their individual perks. Let me start with what matters most to many of you, and that's security and privacy. So both iCloud and Google Drive offer two-factor authentication, which is pretty much standard. Both services encrypt your data in transit and at rest, and iCloud uses TLS and Google Drive uses AES 256-bit encryption. iCloud offers what they call advanced data protection. It's an optional setting, which I suggest you activate. And when enabled, it uses end-to-end encryption for most of your iCloud data, including iCloud backup, photos, and notes. This means that even Apple can access this data. iCloud also offers this on the free tier for some data categories like health data and passwords in iCloud Keychain. And if you don't activate advanced data protection on iCloud, then in theory, Apple can access your data across your Apple applications. Google Drive, on the other hand, doesn't offer end-to-end encryption on any of its services by default. So you should bring your own padlock, aka a third-party encryption service, before uploading your files if you're serious about keeping them truly private. However, Google does offer workspace client-side encryption if you're on the Enterprise Plus Education Standard and Education Plus plans. File encryption is handled in the client's browser before reaching Google's cloud. iCloud lets you set password protection for shared documents and turn off links you've previously shared at any time. And Google offers similar features, but you must have a business or school account to use expiring links. Honestly, this is pretty annoying. Just add this feature as standard on all accounts. Please, Google. Doesn't make sense. Looking at privacy, both companies have a different approach. Google says it doesn't use any Drive-related purchases to target ads, but we should all know by now that if you're in the Google ecosystem, your data is currency and ads will no doubt come your way sooner or later. When you sign up for Google Drive, you'll hand over your name, email, and telephone number, though your number is really optional. The same is true for iCloud, and both services are able to learn what device you use and obviously your web browser. Both services can scan the files you upload to the cloud. They market this as a way to keep the service free from illegal activity. This will be partly true, but we also know these big tech companies want as much data as they can get regardless of it's illegal or not. That's why I love services like Sync.com and pCloud, because they're happy to forfeit access to user data by offering zero-knowledge encryption. And this shows a commitment to putting privacy first and when it comes to where these services are stashing your data. Well, Apple stores its data in both an Apple and third-party data centers. And we know they've got data centers in the US, in Denmark, and Asia, but they're not exactly giving us a detailed map of where your data is really and actually stored. Now, why should you care about this? Well, different countries have different privacy laws. Countries like Iceland, Sweden, and Switzerland provide more protection of people's right to privacy. And the United States, well, let's say there is room for improvement. For Google, well, they have data centers everywhere in the world. North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. They've actually put out a map showing where these data centers are. And I'm going to drop some links in the description so you can learn more about privacy laws around the world and can familiarize yourself with the advantages and disadvantages of each locations. Now, let's talk usability. Both services are pretty user-friendly. iCloud is seamlessly integrated into the Apple ecosystem. If you're an Apple fan, an Apple user, you have an iPhone, iPad, whatever it is, it's like the cloud storage equivalent of slipping into your favorite pair of jeans. It's comfortable and it's familiar, everything works nicely, it's just a great experience overall. When you get a new Apple device, all you have to do is sign in with your Apple ID and boom, all your data reappears as it did on your previous Apple devices. Super, super convenient, right? But what if you're not too loyal to Apple? Well, iCloud has a Windows app and a web interface. You can manage your cloud data and download files directly onto a non-Apple device. However, some Windows users have been grumbling about it being slower with sync issues and really slow file processing. Now, for Google Drive, however, it works on pretty much any platform you can think of: Windows and Mac computers, Android and iOS smartphones and tablets. Google Drive's desktop app allows you to set sync options. You can stream files, keeping them only on the cloud and off your local storage, or mirror them to store them essentially on both. So pretty handy feature. My team tested Google Drive on Android, and it is pretty similar to the web interface. You can upload, share, view, and collaborate on different files and documents, and everything syncs in real time across all devices. You can manage all your photos on a separate app called Google Photos, and all the photos will still end up in your Drive. Feature-wise, both services offer the basic you'd expect: file storage, sharing, and syncing functionality. Google Drive pulls ahead with its built-in productivity suite. Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. They're not just like storing your files, they're helping you create and collaborate on them in real time. And that is really Google Drive's strength, in my opinion. iCloud, meanwhile, is fantastic for backing up your Apple devices, plus keeping your photos in sync, but they don't have any native document creation tools built into iCloud itself like Google Drive does, which my team and I use every day. But iCloud plays nicely with Apple's own productivity apps like Pages and Numbers and Keynote. I've used these across my Apple devices, and the sync is pretty seamless. If you're using cloud storage to back up photos and videos, Google Drive has some excellent search functionality. You can search for a photo by describing it in the search bar. For example, if you search Taj Mahal, it will bring up a photo of the Taj Mahal. It's pretty cool, right? And these AI features, they're likely to increase in future. It's going to get better. You're going to be able to search more and find files quicker. And Apple doesn't currently offer this feature, but in the forthcoming iOS and macOS updates, you will be able to search for files by describing them in the search bar, as things are developing very quickly in this field. They're going to be rolling out the features in the back end of 2024 and in 2025, and until then, I can't really comment on how well the search functionality will work. You can do some basic searches with iCloud, which is pretty cool, and you can search for terms like food or vehicle or cat, and it will bring up relevant results. However, this is very basic, and the new software updates should have a much better functionality and a more nuanced way to search for things. I want to talk about quickly about the web versions of each platform, because it's here where Google Drive moves ahead of iCloud. You see, Google Drive looks more like what we expect from a cloud storage service. You can create folders within folders, you can color code them, and just all around file management is superior. With iCloud, you can't do any of that. You can create albums, but there's no option to create subfolders within them. It's a very basic approach to file management, and one that the serious cloud storage user will no doubt find frustrating to use, let alone business users. Now, let's talk speed. We put both services through rigorous testing using a remote Windows computer in Dublin, Ireland, with a stable 100 megabits connection. And our test involved uploading and downloading a 5 gigabytes folder containing a mix of files: text, documents, images, 4K video, and audio. And we ran each test twice and average out the results, and we show them here to you. Google Drive averaged about 7 minutes for both upload and download. It ranks as one of the fastest cloud storage services out there. iCloud, however, lagged a little behind. It took around 11 minutes for uploads and 8 minutes for downloads, which, if you ask me, is a bit disappointing for a company the size of Apple. For more details about our tests and the results, read our article about our speed tests in the description box below. Finally, let's talk monies. Both services offer a free tier, but Google Drive is more generous here. iCloud gives you 5 gigabytes, meanwhile Google Drive offers 15 gigabytes. And Google's free plan is one of the biggest out there. It comes second only to Mega's 20 gigabytes. For paid plans, iCloud offers 50 gigabytes for about $1 a month and 200 gigabytes for around $3 and 2 terabytes for around $10. They offer plans up to 12 terabytes, and Google Drive matches iCloud's 2 terabyte price but also offers AI Premium. You get the same amount of data, 2 terabytes plus access to Gemini Advanced for around $24. Now, if you don't need that much space or AI, Google offers a 100 gigabyte plan for around $2 per month. In the cloud space, pricing is pretty standard on both services, though the likes of iDrive and Sync.com offer more affordable plans with a greater level of privacy and security. So guys, what's the verdict here? If you're deep in the Apple world, iCloud is the natural choice. It seamlessly integrates with all your Apple devices and apps, but if you're looking for collaboration features and versatility, Google Drive is really hard to beat. I do think that overall Apple has a better approach to privacy. It's not easy to fully trust large tech companies, but on the front end, at least Apple gives me more confidence when it comes to managing my data. If, however, it's not so important to you when it comes down to being the best cloud storage service, I think Google Drive takes this one. Also, you might really take my comments with a grain of salt because maybe this is not an either or question. Maybe this is a question of, okay, let's just use the best of both worlds. Let's just use iCloud if you're an Apple user. Let's just use iCloud for my day-to-day Apple uses and sharing photos, backing up photos, managing passwords, etc. And then using Google to do more of the project management, task management, doc management, or overall file synchronization management for you. But in both cases, I think you can't really go wrong by combining these services, and maybe you only need the free Google Drive version, which gives you 15 gigabytes, as we've mentioned before. So there are a lot of concerns. There are lots of things that you really need to take into consideration before really pulling the trigger, at least going into the paid tiers of each provider, but you can test them out for free. And that's the good part. I'm really curious, what's your take? Are you Team iCloud, Team Google, or are you eyeing other alternatives? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you found this comparison helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more cloud storage showdowns. Until next time, and keep your data safely stored.